Chapter 261. The final exam was here again. Ji Xiaoxi walked into the examination hall confidently. Tang Guo was in the first seat this time, and Fu Zhuoshu was in the seat behind her. If Tang Guo maintained the first place in the cohort, then Fu Zhuoshu would chase after her relentlessly. However, there was still a gap between him and Tang Guo. He was extremely smart, but it wasn't to the point where he wouldn't make any mistakes. Only the Chinese Language Society would deduct points out of friendship. Good luck in the exam. When he passed by Tang Guo, he couldn't help but say softly. Tang Guo only smiled and said, "Sure. I hope you won't be surpassed by me this time." Tang Guo's lips curved. "You won't have the chance." Tang Guo turned around and stared at the second seat. She narrowed her eyes. She felt that this seat was more perfect for her boyfriend. She would talk to her boyfriend later and ask him if he had the confidence to snatch the second seat. The exam went smoothly. Tang Guo left the examination hall very early and went to the entrance of Wei Yu's examination hall. The patrolling teachers who occasionally passed by were not surprised. These two had a pass to be friends. The first class was the Chinese language exam. Wei Yu almost used up all the time. When he walked out of the examination hall, his forehead was still sweating in the winter. Tang Guo took out a tissue and handed it to him. If it wasn't for the fact that this was a school and she was afraid that it would affect her image, she would be happy to help her boyfriend wipe his sweat. "How was the exam?" Tang Guo asked with a smile. Wei Yu thought about how the questions had gone smoothly today and his eyes lit up. "I think it's not bad." After saying that, he revealed a big smile and took his girlfriend's hand to walk out. "What do you want to eat?" "I looked at the seat behind me today. I think this seat is quite suitable for you." Tang Guo smiled and there was some anticipation in her eyes. "I wonder when my boyfriend will be able to sit behind me and take the exam together with me." System, this host. It's hard to explain in a few words. She really used all kinds of methods to woo little brothers. She made little brothers blush and their hearts beat faster. Her method of encouraging little brothers to improve was also very elegant and refined. Wei Yu immediately understood what Tang Guo meant. He also knew who the second seat belonged to. When he recalled the way Fu Zhuoshu looked at his Guoguo, he felt a little anxious. Guoguo is right. That position is really suitable for me. Wei Yu looked serious. "I will sit in that position very soon." Tang Guo's eyes curved into crescents as she held her boyfriend's hand and walked outside. "Since you've done so well, I'll treat you to a meal today." Wei Yu's mind was filled with thoughts of learning Chinese and making up for it. No, he had to get his grandfather to help him hire an outstanding Chinese professor and improve his Chinese subject as soon as possible. He remembered that Fu Zhuoshu's total score for the midterm exam was 10 points lower than his girlfriend's. The gap was already very small. As for the other subjects, as long as he was willing, getting full marks was not a problem. The only problem was Chinese. It was a little difficult for him. But it was different now. His girlfriend wanted him to sit behind her in the same exam hall. His language results had to improve. The rest of the exam went very smoothly. Tang Guo and Wei Yu only used half the time and left the exam hall after they were done. Then, the two of them spread dog food and went to the snack street outside the school to eat sweetly. After this semester, Wei Yu had become the role model of every form teacher. As long as anyone did not work hard, the teacher would say, "Look at Wei Yu from class 3. Do you know what his results were in the past? He was the last in the cohort. Now, he's already in the top 50. Wei Yu's family background is so good. He's already working hard. What excuse do you have to fall?" Students, their brains are really not as good as Wei Yu's. Oh, it's too difficult. Peak. Chapter 262. The final results of the first semester of the second year of high school were released. Tang Guo still maintained her first place in the entire cohort, only 1 point away from full marks. The deduction was for her essay marks. In fact, the language teacher really wanted to give her full marks. What was surprising and unsurprising was that Wei Yu had rushed into the top 10. Not the top 10 in the class, but the top 10 in the entire cohort. In the last test, Wei Yu's language had barely passed. Who would have thought that in just half a month, he would improve so much? His score could not compare to many outstanding language students, but it gave countless people pressure. Top 10 in the cohort, top 5 in the class. The top 5 students in class 3, except for Tang Guo, looked at Wei Yu as if they had seen an enemy. They were very afraid. Fu Zhuoshu could not help but feel nervous. Wei Yu's speed of improvement was really terrifying. With such a speed, it was not impossible to surpass him. Ji Xiaoxi simply could not believe that Wei Yu was still in the last place last semester. She was indignant. With her intelligence, it was not easy for her to raise her results to the 12th place in the class, but it did not attract anyone's attention. When she thought about how she was going to be bald for a few more months, she felt bitter. Recently, the group members had been sending red packets at inappropriate times. Occasionally, she would bump into them, but she would not be able to get a good one. Her life was getting worse and worse. She was still indignant. Why could Tang Guo still live so gloriously after being disfigured and steal all the glory? The other person was not having a good time either. It was Ma Maro, the school tyrant of number 2 high school. No one knew when he developed the habit of coming to number 1 high school every day to look for Tang Guo. Over time, number 1 high school and number 2 high school knew that Ma Maro was infatuated with Tang Guo. Those who knew found it strange, but those who did not know only thought that it was because Belle Tang was charming. With such a big commotion, the Ma family naturally knew. They all agreed that Tang Guo had used some method to make Ma Maro infatuated with her. Her motive was definitely not simple. They thought that family Tang was unwilling to give up and wanted to harm Ma Mao. Therefore, Ma Mao's mother took advantage of Ma Mao's absence to come to family Tang and even asked to see Tang Guo. Family Tang couple hated the Ma family to the core. They had been preparing for a long time, but the development of the business was not something that could be done overnight. Even though nearly a year had passed, they still could not compare to the Ma family. I don't have any other intentions today. Ma Mao's mother was once a young lady from a wealthy family. She had a proud look on her face. When she looked at Tang Guo, her eyes flashed with disgust. I don't care what purpose the daughter of the Tang family has. Do you really like my son or something else? But I'm warning you, you'd better stay away from my son. If the daughter of the Tang family was beautiful, it would be fine to play with her son. However, such an ugly monster was known by everyone. It was really embarrassing. When the Tang couple heard this, they almost fainted from anger. What did he mean by their precious daughter would like a hooligan like Ma Mao? Mrs. Ma, aren't you going too far? Tang Guo's mother said with an ugly expression, I don't know that my daughter provoked your son. My daughter has a boyfriend. I remember very clearly that his name is not Ma Mao. Mrs. Ma sneered, so she already has a boyfriend? Well, if she doesn't find a boyfriend soon, in the future. Tang Guo's mother could not help but stand up. The Ma family was really too much. Chapter 263. Tang Guo held Mrs. Tang down and said to Mrs. Ma, Don't worry, I'm really not interested in your son. My boyfriend is in the top 10 of the grade and the top 5 of the class. He's tall and handsome, much better than your son. Mrs. Ma's expression changed. In the end, when she saw the ugly scar on Tang Guo's face, she laughed again. In short, you'd better not seduce my son. Otherwise, I won't be done with your family Tang. You're going too far. After Mrs. Ma left, Mrs. Tang and Mr. Tang slammed the table in anger. They had already calmed down, so of course, they knew that rushing up at this time would be sending their heads to the Ma family. However, they had already come to humiliate them, but they could only swallow their anger and not get justice for their daughter. They felt very uncomfortable. The two of them were silent. They looked at each other, and their eyes became more and more determined. No matter what, they would continue. Sooner or later, they would get justice for their daughter. Host, your parents are very angry. They are now discussing how to quickly develop the company in the study. The system seemed to understand why the host was so greedy for others to treat her well. He could feel that it was a delightful feeling. I originally wanted to take it slow, but the other party came to me in such a hurry. I changed my mind and don't want to let them live happily. System, I need your help now. The system was nervous. Host, please say. My ability has improved a lot now. Millimeter, help me invade the Ma group and find loopholes in their group, evidence of tax evasion, and some businesses that can't be done openly. Monitor the communications of everyone in the Ma group. You must find out all the backers of the Ma family. When the system heard this, it felt the excitement of doing bad things for the first time. Understood. After you find them, monitor them carefully for me and try to catch their backers' weakness. Tang Guo held the milk tea, the corners of her mouth curved into a smile. Can you do it? No problem, host. Don't underestimate me. This time, you just have to move your mouth. Let me do the rest. After giving these instructions, Wei Yu called. Have you been eating well, Guogua? Yes. I got a professor to tutor me this holiday, so I don't have much time to accompany you. You don't mind, do you? Wei Yu was a little nervous. If you want to go somewhere, you can still call me. At most, he would sleep less at night. Tang Guo's eyes curved into crescents as she responded. After chatting for a while, the two ended the call. System, host, I suspect that I have diabetes. Hey. Does the system also suffer from diabetes? System, I don't want to bother with this dog of a host. Ma Maro somehow got Tang Guo's phone number. When he heard that Wei Yu hadn't asked Tang Guo out recently, he finally summoned up the courage to call her. I know a fun place. Ma Maro didn't know what to say. Since you're free, do you want to come out and play? I'm not free. Tang Guo sneered. I'm afraid that if I go out with you, your mother will come to my house the next day and scold me for seducing you. My mother came to look for you. Ma Mao's expression changed. When? A few days ago. All right, young Master Ma, my family Tang really can't afford to offend you. Please don't disturb my peaceful life. Do you have to see me unhappy to feel comfortable? Hearing these harsh words, Ma Maro wasn't angry. He only felt a little sad. The Peak. Chapter 264. This Ma Maro is really stubborn. Tang Guo put away her phone and smiled. Don't worry, I will let him understand that he has to pay the price for doing wrong. System, scared. Ma Maro returned to the Ma family and quarreled with Mrs. Ma. Mrs. Ma thought that it was Tang Guo who seduced her son. It must be that the other party was not reconciled, so she decided to teach the family Tang a lesson. The family Tang couple had been developing their business silently, but they did not expect the Ma family to start suppressing them. The Ma family also spread the word that it was the ugly family Tang who wanted to seduce their son. For a time, the family Tang was ridiculed by countless people. After the Ma family learned that Tang Guo's boyfriend was the eldest son of the Wei family, Wei Yu, they said something to Wei Yu's stepwife, and the Wei family also began to suppress the family Tang. For a time, the family Tang was living in water and fire. Tang Guo saw all this. The family Tang couple came back later and later every day, and their eyes were full of helplessness and guilt when they looked at her. She sat quietly on the stool and flipped through the book. System, how's the investigation? Host, it's almost done. The Ma family's backer is quite powerful. He's from B City. The Ma family stole a lot of taxes, and I copied all the evidence. I also have a lot of evidence that they secretly traded some illegal goods. Host, I also recorded a video. As long as there was internet, he could be everywhere. Although those people chose to trade in places without cameras, in this world, there was probably no one who did not use a mobile phone, right? He used his new skills to fabricate a virus and implant it into the Ma family's mobile phone. Whoever the other party contacted would be infected. After Tang Guo learned about this, she finally confirmed that her useless system was still capable. Host, please don't look at me with that I'm finally useful look. I will become more and more useful. Does the Ma family have any weaknesses? Host, what are the weaknesses you are referring to? It's the side of him that can't be exposed. If it is exposed, he will be dismissed in minutes, and his career will be gloomy. The system asked carefully. Does keeping a mistress count? He was very careful when he collected the money. I couldn't find any evidence. He has more than a dozen mistresses, And I've secretly taken quite a few shocking videos. Do you want to enjoy them? Tang Guo laughed. I'm not interested in appreciating it. It must be a fat guy with big ears. It's an eyesore. Send the video you took to him. The name of the email is Don't meddle in the affairs of the Ma family if you know what's good for you. The system hurriedly did as he was told, and within 5 minutes, he received a reply. Host, he asked me who I am. Continue to video call him. The email address is it's best if you don't interfere with the Ma family. The system did as it was told. This time, the other party didn't send a message for a long time. Half an hour later, there was another message. Host, he promised. Now is the time for you to shine. Report the evidence of the Ma family's tax evasion, as well as the illegal things that the Ma family has done in secret. Expose them. Not only do I have to report this evidence, but I also have to expose it on the internet. A glimmer of excitement flashed through Tang Guo's eyes. She was running out of patience. Understood, I'll do it right away. The host was his thigh. As long as she was happy, it was fine. What was integrity? Ever since he knew that his power would increase when the host was happy, he didn't know what integrity was. Almost instantly, on countless forums and public discussion boards, posts about the Ma family appeared. The content of the posts was the same. First, it was the evidence of the Ma family's tax evasion. Then, it was the illegal business transactions of the Ma family. What was even more shocking was that there were videos of the transactions. Peak. Chapter 265. As soon as the post appeared, it was pushed to the top by countless people. Because of this post, the netizens went crazy. When the Ma family received the news, they quickly found someone to suppress the post. For some reason, the post could not be deleted. They wanted to apply for permission to have these forums temporarily shut down, and at the same time, they made a statement that it was slander. However, no one believed the Ma family's statement. The evidence was conclusive. As long as someone checked, everything would be clear. In a moment of desperation, the Ma family thought of their backer, but they did not expect to call an empty number. At that time, Mrs. Ma was playing mahjong with the rich ladies in the circle. When she heard the news, she fell off her chair, grabbed her expensive bag, and rushed to the Ma family. No one helped the Ma family suppress the news. The investigators went directly to the Ma group. It happened so suddenly that the Ma family was not prepared at all. They were investigated thoroughly. In addition, the content of the post was so detailed that even the password of the Ma family's safe was published. The Ma family was so angry that they almost vomited blood. Until they were taken away and detained, they did not know who was behind this. In just a few hours, when the higher-ups reacted and wanted to investigate the person who posted the post disappeared without a trace. They searched for a long time but could not find it. The netizens who were watching the show were also dumbfounded. They worshipped the great god who posted the post. As for the backer of the Ma family, he watched the whole process from the villa. After he got the result, he collapsed to the ground and even peed his pants. He quickly opened his mailbox. Sure enough, the email he received before disappeared without a trace. He wiped his cold sweat and made a decision. He would dismiss his lover and be a good official in the future. He always felt that he would be monitored by the mysterious person when he did bad things. System, it was a beautiful misunderstanding. That day, the family Tang couple came back very early. Compared to their usual heavy expressions, there was a bit of relaxation on their faces today. When they saw Tang Guo in the living room, they smiled at each other and sat beside her. Mrs. Tang's eyes were red. Guo Guo, the Ma family is finished. She touched Tang Guo's face tenderly. After a long time, she said, this is retribution. Your mother and I plan to sue Ma Mao. Guo Guo, do you have any thoughts? Father Tang said. If he didn't add insult to injury now, when would he? He was a businessman, and now was the most difficult time for the Ma family. Although the Ma family was finished, it did not mean that some of the forces related to the Ma family were still around. If they were to sue Ma Mao now, the Ma family would be too busy to fend for themselves. However, they lacked evidence now, and they couldn't find any witnesses. If they could find them, they wouldn't be afraid of the Ma family. Of course, Tang Guo agreed. She knew Father Tang was suffering from a lack of evidence, so that night, she thoughtfully asked the system to deliver the evidence. The next day, Father Tang went out in high spirits. He went to tell Ma Maro. Mother Tang also went with him. Before noon, Wei Yu also came. Guo Guo, my dad called me today. I've decided to go back. Tang Guo raised her eyebrows and saw Wei Yu's serious expression. When I take back what belongs to me, I will protect you. This was a promise from a young man. Good grades can make Guo Guo very happy. You can accompany Guo Guo, but you can't protect Guo Guo. He couldn't help but hug Tang Guo. Don't worry, even if I go to the company to study, I won't forget to do the language paper. It's just that I'll be busier in the future. Yes, of course I support my boyfriend's ambition. After hearing this, Wei Yu heaved a sigh of relief. His eyes flickered with joy, and he finally couldn't help but kiss Tang Guo's forehead. I'll accompany you to be university. Peak. Chapter 266. Ma Maro was taken away after a fight with a group of underlings in a bar. He was not nervous at all. He only thought that these people took him away because they had gathered a crowd to cause trouble. When the time came, he would call his mother and everything would be resolved. But this time was different from what he had imagined. Later, he found out that the family Tang had sued him. Ji Xiaoxi was also asked to leave. In the video of Tang Guo being splashed with sulfuric acid by Ma Maro, Ji Xiaoxi was very conspicuous. They all saw Ji Xiaoxi push Tang Guo, and then Ma Maro caught up with her and splashed Tang Guo. The Ma family had already lost, so they did not have a good impression of this young master of the Ma family, who originally had a bad impression. It was not until he was brought to court and faced the family Tang in the plaintiff's seat that he came back to his senses. He could not help but meet Tang Guo's eyes. He wanted to say something, but the people here obviously would not let him say anything else to defend himself. This time, it was very fast. The Ma couple were suspected of breaking the law and were detained, and there was no news of their backer. If the Ma family's relatives had not come to visit them, they would not have known that Ma Maro had been sued by the family Tang. They only hurriedly asked someone to help Ma Maro hire a lawyer, but it was useless. In the face of all the facts and without the Ma family's help, Ma Maro could not escape the blame. The scene of him ferociously and crazily attacking Tang Guo in the video shocked everyone present. How could such a young boy be so ruthless? How could he do such a thing to such a beautiful girl? Ma Maro pursed his lips and did not explain anything. I didn't know that the person I accidentally bumped into was Tang Guo. Ma Maro was too scary at that time. I was scared out of my wits and only knew to run forward. Ji Xiaoxi covered her face with a pained expression. If I had known this would happen, I definitely wouldn't have left. The students of class 2 and 3 also heard about this and they all came. Hearing Ji Xiaoxi's words, they felt ridiculous for the first time. Even if she didn't know at first, what happened later? Tang Guo's disfigurement was such a big thing. Didn't she realize? They had never heard of Ji Xiaoxi apologizing to Campus Belle Tang and pretending not to know. Ma Maro also glanced at Ji Xiaoxi, and a trace of mockery flashed across his lips. So this was the person he liked from the beginning? Perhaps he was mistaken. Ji Xiaoxi was not the little girl who had helped him beat up people in the amusement park. Thinking of this, he could not help but look at Tang Guo. Their faces were so similar. He had an impulsive thought in his heart. Could it be that the little girl was her? If that was the case, he didn't dare to imagine what he had done. His hands were shaking. He had long regretted his impulse to listen to his friend's advice and pour sulfuric acid on Ji Xiaoxi. At first, he was glad that it wasn't Ji Xiaoxi who was splashed, but now he regretted it. Why wasn't it Ji Xiaoxi? If Tang Guo was really the little girl from the amusement park, then Ma Maro lowered his head and didn't say much when he was defending himself. He looked like he had admitted defeat. After the defense lawyer found that he had given up struggling, he said a few words symbolically and stopped fighting for anything. In the end, Ma Maro was sentenced to 2 years in prison for intentional injury. When he was sentenced, he still didn't say anything and only stared at Tang Guo. When he was taken away, he asked to say a few words to Tang Guo. Perhaps because she saw his good attitude, she agreed. However, she also kept some distance, afraid that he would do something extreme. The Peak. Chapter 267. Facing Tang Guo's smiling face, Ma Maro thought for a long time before he opened his mouth. Do you hate me? Of course. Tang Guo said straightforwardly. I was supposed to be as beautiful as a flower, but because of you, I became like this. Do you think I don't hate you? Ma Mao's heart sank, and he felt a little uncomfortable. I'm sorry. I was too impulsive. He was spoiled by his parents, and he would do anything to get what he wanted. When he couldn't get what he wanted, he was instigated to destroy it. That was why he hurt the innocent girl. I know you won't forgive me, but I still have to say this. He finally understood and couldn't deny that even if she was not beautiful, he was still attracted to her. I want to ask you a question. After hesitating for a moment, Ma Maro still asked. 10 years ago, one winter, did you go to Chenyu amusement park and beat up a few bad kids for a little boy who was being bullied? Tang Guo was stunned for a moment. She tried to recall the memory of the original body and quickly found the scene that day. It seems like there was such a thing. Hearing the accurate answer, Ma Mao's face instantly turned pale. His lips trembled, and his whole body was trembling. There was a look of despair in his eyes. It was really her. Why? He covered his face with both hands and rubbed it hard. He couldn't hold back the tears in his eyes. He didn't put down his hands and said quickly, I have no more questions. Take me away. He couldn't wait to turn around, leaving the people who were present confused. Tang Guo looked at Ma Mao's back and smiled. So there was such a thing. No wonder he fell in love with Ji Xiaoxi at first sight. The original body was sent to and from school by the driver. Basically, it was impossible for her to meet Ma Mao. Ji Xiaoxi's school was not far from home, so it was easy for her to meet Ma Mao. It was normal for him to mistake Ji Xiaoxi for the original body. Although there was this episode, Tang Guo was very satisfied. Ma Mao must be very painful to hurt the people he cared about when he was young. Host, I can feel your joy. Of course I'm happy. I have sent my enemy to prison, and I don't think Mr. and Mrs. Ma can run away. Their family should be reformed in prison. Guogua. The family Tang couple hugged Tang Guo. At this moment, they were really relieved. But when they saw their daughter's face, they felt sad again. Tang Guo looked up and smiled. Don't worry. My classmates like me very much. They don't like me because of my looks. The students of class 2 and 3 quickly reacted. They all said that Campus Belle Tang was someone they had always admired. Only then did the family Tang couple feel relieved. Wei Yu had been by her side the entire time. His parents-in-law, classmates, and many adults were there. Although he really wanted to hug his girlfriend and hold her hand, he couldn't withstand so many gazes. Everything that happened today made him want to control the Wei clan even more. After Ma Maro served his sentence, Ji Xiaoxi was a little muddle-headed. Although she didn't commit any crime and it was just an unintentional mistake, the way her classmates looked at her made her feel very uncomfortable. It was even more uncomfortable than before. Xiaoxi, don't be sad. I'm still by your side. This delicate and pretty girl was Ji Xiaoxi's classmate. She pulled Ji Xiaoxi up. You didn't do it on purpose. Let's find a time to apologize to Tang Guo. She's a very good person. She'll forgive you for your unintentional mistake. Ji Xiaoxi was originally very touched. When she heard that the other party was going to pull her to apologize to Tang Guo, she pushed her away and shouted, Everything is my fault. What did I do wrong? I was just avoiding that lunatic Ma Mao. Who asked her to block the way? If she didn't stand there, would she have been knocked down? Peak. Chapter 268. Host, your boyfriend is really amazing. He only used one holiday to gain a foothold in the Wei group. He even bought people's hearts without leaving a trace. The system was confused. Is there really such a thing as a natural-born talent in this world? You're thinking too much. There's no such thing as a natural talent. Tang Guo smiled. He's smart and hardworking. Ever since he said that he wanted to take over the Wei family, he basically has no free time except for eating and sleeping. No. Host, you're wrong. He talks to you for half an hour every day and spends a day every week to play with you. The system quickly retorted. Your boyfriend not only buys you food, but also perfume, bags, bracelets, and branded sneakers. Don't think I don't know. Tang Guo. Her system was indeed a fool. Host, doesn't your conscience hurt? Tang Guo silently put away the French-branded perfume on the table and turned to put the bag Wei you gave her yesterday into the cloakroom. Haha, stupid system. What's wrong with giving her things when she's in a relationship? Rotten host, you don't do business in this world and don't fight for resources. Your heart has been corroded by the love of a creature like your boyfriend. The system snorted. You actually want to reap without sowing. I really didn't expect you to be such a host. Have you said enough? Hearing Tang Guo's cold voice, the system shuddered. Oh my god, what did I just say? That. Host. I'm drunk. Don't mind the nonsense I said just now. Hehe, hehe. Tang Guo sneered and picked up her phone to call Wei Yu. The system secretly observed its host's expression. Its heart was trembling. Was the host really angry? What should he do? What nonsense was he spouting just now? Guo. Classes will start in a few days. Have you finished your homework? When Wei Yu heard this, he trembled. Looking at the stack of test papers in front of him, he didn't dare to lie. I'm doing it. Don't worry, Guo. I finished my language homework long ago. The other subjects are easy and I'll finish them soon. After saying that, he still felt a little uneasy. Recently, the company had been too busy, and he was eager to gain a foothold. Other than Chinese, he had not touched any other subjects. Oh, that's good. I have a sum of money. Can I invest it in my boyfriend? Hey! The system was shocked. How come it didn't know that the host was rich? She even wanted to invest in Wei Yu. The system suddenly felt fear. It was over. The host must have heard him say that she was a rotten host, so she wanted to invest. As expected, she hated him. Guo, why do you suddenly want to invest? Wei Yu was surprised. In fact, he did want to do a project recently, but there were still many people who did not support him. If someone invested at this time, he could do this project. Tang Guo's pleasant voice rang out. Even if I put it aside, my boyfriend has been buying me a lot of luxury goods recently. He must be making money. I want to make more money. I don't feel at ease investing in others, so I might as well invest in you. Does Guo trust me so much? Wei Yu clenched his fists, his eyes shining. Guo actually trusted him so much. He would definitely make a career, protect her, treat her well, and not let her suffer any grievances. You're my boyfriend. If I don't trust you, who should I trust? Boyfriend, send me your card number. Peek. Chapter 269. Wei Yu rubbed his eyes and counted the zeros on the transfer message. He confirmed that he had not counted wrongly. There were indeed 8 zeros. The first digit was 6. His girlfriend had invested 60 million yuan in him. His girlfriend was so rich. This was Wei Yu's first thought. His girlfriend was so good at making money. This was Wei Yu's second thought. His girlfriend had actually invested 60 million yuan in him. Wei Yu was so touched that he wanted to cry. Those cunning old foxes in the company wanted to suppress him in everything. Anyone with a bit of foresight would know that the new project he wanted to do could make a lot of money. It was not that they did not agree, but they wanted to poke at his spirit and make him restrict them. When he compromised, they would more or less agree. Seeing the 8 zeros, Wei Yu did not want to do his homework anymore. He threw his pen away and rode his motorcycle to the family Tang. When he reached the family Tang, he shouted, Guo, come down quickly. System. Tang Guo opened the window and saw a silly smile on his face. He even revealed a mouthful of white teeth and smiled. Have you finished your homework? Wei Yu. Can we not talk about homework now? He was very excited. He just wanted to hug his girlfriend and hold her little hand. It would be even better if he could kiss her. His girlfriend's little hand was soft and her face was tender. He did not even dare to touch it, afraid that he would hurt her. Thinking of the scar on his girlfriend's face, he felt a little sad. She must be very sad too, but she never showed it. Boyfriend, go back and do your homework. School is about to start. Wei Yu's face was full of reluctance. At least come down and hold her little hand to express his excitement. How about this? Bring your homework over to do. I'll get someone to make lunch. You can eat here. Wei Yu was excited when he heard that. Guo Guo, I'm coming in. I'll call my assistant to bring my papers over. As he walked, he took out his phone and called his assistant. Go to my house. My science papers, math papers, and English papers are all in my study. Bring them to the family Tang. Which family Tang is it? My girlfriend's house, Tang Guo. Do you know her? She's your sister-in-law. She's here to look for you. She'll visit you often in the future. If she can't find you, she can get lost. Yes, hurry up, or I'll deduct your bonus. Be there in half an hour, and I'll double your salary. Tang Guo was speechless. Her boyfriend had taken over the family business, but he still didn't look like a future CEO. Instead, he looked more like a mafia boss. Host, why do you have so much money? The system asked weakly. Why didn't it know? It felt so wronged. If it had known that the host was so rich, it wouldn't have said such nonsense. In a moment of pleasure, he turned to look at the crematorium. I bought 2 good stocks some time ago and made a fortune. System, oh, sob sob sob. Host is so awesome. Isn't it like a pie falling from the sky and reaping without sowing? No, it doesn't look like it at all. It really doesn't look like it, the system quickly said. First of all, the host chose those 2 stocks because he had good foresight. Secondly, the host dared to buy them because he was brave enough. Lastly, if the host didn't have luck, he definitely wouldn't have made a profit. Look at how many people in the entire stock market have lost so much that they're down to their underwear. System, your IQ has increased a lot, and your flattery skills are getting better and better. I'm telling the truth. The system was a little scared and hurriedly said, your boyfriend is here. Host, open the door quickly. Peek. Chapter 270. In the second semester of the second year of high school, the students of Class 3 passed by amidst the sweet affection of Campus Beltang and Campus Hunk Wei. Yes, the people in the school no longer called Wei Yu a school bully. He was now handsome, rich, and had super good grades. With his girlfriend's investment, Wei Yu won the project that he had been admiring for a long time and made a lot of money. With the support of his maternal family, more and more people in the Wei Corporation supported him. With his hard work, language was no longer a problem for him. The seats for the final exam were arranged according to the midterm exam ranking. This time, Wei Yu sat behind his girlfriend. The two of them walked into the examination hall and looked at each other affectionately. All the top students in the examination hall were depressed and were not in the mood to take the exam. But what could they say? One of them was first in the cohort and the other was second in the cohort. Not only did dating not affect their studies, but they also improved together because of dating. Which top student had the ability to pull the last in the cohort to second in the cohort? Fu Zhuoshu, who was sitting in the third seat, was speechless. What else could he do other than being depressed and giving his blessings? He gritted his teeth. The girl he liked didn't like him. His first and second place in the cohort was snatched away by the person he liked and his love rival. There was probably nothing sadder than this in the world. The students sitting in the fourth and fifth seats were speechless. Hee hee. Forget about Tang Guo. How did Wei Yu run from the last to second? They were even more depressed. Ji Xiaoxi was in the last seat of the third examination hall. She swallowed a black pill. She didn't use it for the midterm exam and her grades plummeted. She thought that she had worked very hard in her studies. It was the things that happened outside that affected her too much. Especially Tang Guo and Wei Yu, who were showing off their love all day and the teachers didn't care about them. When she thought about how she would have to continue for another 4 months, she felt uncomfortable all over. She was wearing a thick wig on a hot summer day. It was really uncomfortable. She could do badly in the midterm exam, but she definitely couldn't lose face again in the final exam. When the holidays came, she had to study hard at home and try to make up for her weaknesses. When she took the report card, Ji Xiaoxi saw that her ranking had finally risen to the top 12. The teacher even encouraged her. But when she touched the wig on her head, her smile froze. She had to stay at the top for another 4 months. Ji Xiaoxi, congratulations. Your grades have improved again. The girl sitting at the same table said in a friendly manner. Ji Xiaoxi felt disgusted when she saw those kind eyes. She said expressionlessly, too many things happened in the first half of the semester. I can't calm down. I still care about the final exam. I can't do badly. Congratulations to student Tang Guo and student Wei Yu for tying for first place, only 1 point away from full marks. The homeroom teacher was all smiles. He had always hated high school students falling in love. For the first time, he felt that the love between a little girl and a little boy was wonderful. Ha. If the other students in the class could be like the two of them, he wouldn't mind helping them to pull strings and cover for them. They're really amazing. Their grades are still so good even after falling in love. The one who spoke was Ji Xiaoxi's deskmate. This made Ji Xiaoxi feel very uncomfortable in her heart. Tang Guo, it was Tang Guo again. Ever since school started, Tang Guo had always been in her life. Compared to her, she was like a clown. Boyfriend, are you going to turn the sky upside down? You actually want to snatch my first place, Tang Guo said with a smile. Wei Yu quickly held his girlfriend's small hand and comforted her. He said in a low voice, Guo, I just want to be closer to you. The students around them. Fuck, give them a way out. Peek. Chapter 271. Something happened at the start of the 3rd year of high school. The matter of first high school's Tang Guo and Wei Yu dating was exposed on the internet. The post pointed out that the two of them had good family backgrounds, but the teachers did not stop them. Instead, they often saw them holding hands and talking to them. They did not express that they had to pay attention to their image on campus. Such a thing should not have happened on campus. If the teachers and the school allowed high school students to date, wouldn't that be telling all the students that they could date casually and not care? Such a bad atmosphere immediately attracted the attention of many people. For a moment, countless people were following the post, scolding these two shameless boys and girls. Ji Xiaoxi flipped through the post and sneered. Then, she deleted the record of the post. How shameless. Can you do whatever you want just because you have money? It's fine if it's at home, but they're so intimate in school. I'm really afraid that my daughter will study in this school. TSK. What's wrong with society now? These teachers don't care. Is it because their family backgrounds are good? If that's the case, they might as well go to a noble school. They're all rich people. They have the final say. Anyway, they're rich. I have no objections. I agree. It's better to expel such a student who openly affects the atmosphere. The principal and teachers quickly found out about this matter and were very speechless. The matter was not that serious. On the contrary, because of Tang Guo and Wei Yu, the atmosphere in their school was getting better and better. Originally, there were many sneaky couples in first high school. Because of Wei Yu and Tang Guo, the teachers would catch them and say meaningfully, if you can do what Tang Guo and Wei Yu do, the teachers can choose not to see it. The next day, the couple broke up. This incident was posted on the school forum, and they never saw a young couple holding hands in the woods again. The boys and girls in the school took the initiative to keep their distance because their dean was a top-notch person. When he saw two boys and girls who had a slightly better relationship, he would come up and ask with a smile, "Classmate, are you two in a relationship?" The dean had a kind expression. "Don't be afraid. The teacher has no intention of breaking you up. As long as your grades improve half as fast as Tang Guo and Wei Yu, the teacher can choose not to see it." "Dean, you're poisonous." The boy said, "No, teacher, you misunderstood. Really, this is a big misunderstanding. We have nothing to do with each other." The girl said, "Teacher, I don't know this guy. I don't know who he is. Also, I can't be friends with him. He's too short, not handsome, and his grades are not good. I don't like him. The boy said, Teacher, to be honest, this girl is a little ugly. I can't bear to hold her hand. Her hand is thicker than mine. I don't want to hold it at all. The girl. Classmate, do you know what it means to be forever alone? Hee. The head of teaching looked disappointed. I see. After saying that, his eyes lit up as he noticed another pair of boys and girls who were walking close to each other. Everyone, please maintain a safe distance. The dean is here. Someone shouted, and the students scattered in all directions. The dean was speechless. He shook his head helplessly. It was so boring recently. He couldn't even catch a couple. It was as if life had lost its fun. Principal, what should we do now? The reaction over there is a bit intense. The form teacher of class 3 was a little angry. I don't know who's jealous of our school. They actually posted such a post. The principal sneered. This is very simple. Post all of Tangguo and Wei Yu's report cards and test papers. Peak. Chapter 272. The post on the forum was at the top, and some media outlets even fought to report this matter. After the matter developed, a post with Tangguo's and Wei Yu's report cards and test papers since high school appeared. At first, no one paid attention to it. Later, some bored people flipped through it and were stunned. This person was a big V on Weibo. After flipping through it, he first cursed and then excitedly wrote a Weibo post. Everyone, pay attention, high energy ahead. You're criticizing them for affecting the school atmosphere, but you don't know that they're working hard behind the scenes. You're mocking them, but you don't know that they don't care. You think that they're affecting your children's studies. Hee, you don't know that they're tied for first place in the school. The last thing I want to say is, if my daughter and son can work so hard in a relationship, child, go ahead. Dad supports you. After this Weibo post appeared, it instantly became popular. There was even a link to the report card post below the Weibo post. After everyone saw it, they silently pinched their faces. Soon, many posts with strange names appeared. On the counterattack of the last place in the grade. It's not that the first place doesn't study hard, but there's no girl named Tangguo in his class. I want a girlfriend named Tangguo. I wonder if there is one. If I met a girl named Tangguo in high school, I would be in Harvard now, not Lanxiang. If there was such a couple in our school, I guarantee that I wouldn't have the face to fall in love early. I would be in a foreign company now, not a small company with a stingy boss. I still doubt life. How did Wei Yu do it? If I had Tangguo in my life. Then, the parents. If I had a daughter named Tangguo, since you like that young man named Wei Yu, bring her home to take a look. If I had a son named Wei Yu, I would definitely ask him to date a little girl named Tangguo. At school. Why doesn't our school have Tangguo or Wei Yu? Students who are still in high school. It's enough for a pair of such people to appear. My hurt heart can't take it anymore. The principal and teachers of number 1 high school, family Tang couple, the Wei Corporation. So little boss was a bad student from the start. Ji Xiaoxi's face was contorted as she scrolled through the posts. She couldn't accept this. What was wrong with these people? Just as she was about to do something, another post revealed Wei Yu's identity as the general manager of the Wei Corporation. All of a sudden, the people who were complaining shut up. Wei Yu simply revealed his biggest investor's name. On it was the name Tangguo. The first investment amount was 60 million, and the second investment amount was 100 million. The people who were reading the thread silently clutched their little hearts. They were all big shots, and they couldn't afford to offend them. Tangguo had a Weibo account. It was because she was outstanding in her studies that she was allowed to use it according to the school's requirements. Because of this incident, she gained a few million followers. Some fans asked her how she learned, and she answered with a smile, "I was born smart." He was about to collapse. When some fans saw that she had invested 160 million yuan, they could not help but ask if it was the pocket money that her family Tang had given her. She said truthfully, "I used my pocket money to buy a few good stocks some time ago. It's fine if she's good at her studies, but she's also a god of stocks. Some lurking stock investors silently clicked follow and asked questions about stocks from time to time. Tang Guo answered them one by one and was worshipped by the stock investors as a god. Peak. Chapter 273. The first semester of the third year of high school ended again. During the final exams, Tang Guo and Wei Yu were still in the first and second positions. The position behind Fu Zhuoshu changed countless times, but he was still firmly in the third position. He was determined not to let anyone take it away from him, and he spent less and less time with Ji Xiaoxi. If Ji Xiaoxi's hair had not grown out, he would have broken up with her long ago. Now that Ji Xiaoxi was becoming more and more difficult to deal with, he was already very annoyed. Ji Xiaoxi was still in the third examination hall. She looked at the black pill in her hand and swallowed it. Soon, it was the college entrance exam. Tang Guo had many more fans. On the day of her college entrance exam, her fans sent her their blessings. Some shareholders sent their blessings because Tang Guo did not hide anything and gave them many directions. Although they did not earn much, they did not lose everything like before. On the day before the college entrance exam, Ji Xiaoxi, who had not appeared in a long time, Tang Guo. Ji Xiaoxi, school bell, do you have any more super smart pills? A few days ago, when she was revising, Ji Xiaoxi suddenly realized that she seemed to know everything when she opened the book, but when she closed the book, she could not understand anything. She had done that question before, but when she did it, she kept making mistakes. She should have filled in the answers correctly, but she did not know why she filled in the wrong answers. She seemed to have lost her ability to calculate. Her brain seemed to have not worked for a long time. She should have answered the questions correctly when she had seen them before. In the past, during the final exams, she only needed to flip through a book quickly and then take the exam. She could answer all the questions she had seen before. Previously, she thought that when it was the college entrance exam, she would close the book and take the exam. She did not expect that, with her marks, she would not even be able to get into an ordinary undergraduate program. At this moment, Ji Xiaoxi panicked. She thought that she was smart enough and only needed to flip through the book and not do the practice questions. She would still do well in the final exams. Why was it not so? The college entrance exam was tomorrow. She did not have the chance to revise at all. Suddenly, she remembered a group that she had not been in for a long time. Tang Guo had been keeping in touch with the group members. She was not surprised by Ji Xiaoxi's appearance. When Ji Xiaoxi asked her to exchange super smart pills for the second time, she knew that this would happen. This was because she had only given her 12 pills the second time. The pills from the first semester of the second year, the second semester, and the first semester of the third year were exactly 12 pills. With Ji Xiaoxi's personality, she definitely wouldn't save her intelligence for the college entrance exam. She subconsciously thought that she could exchange her intelligence with Tang Guo. Host, you are so sinister. Ziyundao Master and the others, who hadn't spoken, also sighed silently in their hearts. Yes, the school bell was really insidious. At first, he didn't think that there was anything wrong with 12 stones. After being in contact with Ji Xiaoxi for a long time, he also knew that there were several semesters in this Plains high school. Now that Ji Xiaoxi had come over to ask about pills, it was probably to prepare for the legendary college entrance exam that would change her life. The school bell was really amazing. She had calculated this point and had also thoroughly figured out Ji Xiaoxi's personality. Campus bell, I told you last time. That was the last exchange. Ji Xiaoxi panicked. School beauty, please help me one more time. Just this once. I promise I won't ask you to exchange pills again. School bell, you don't have anything that I'm interested in. The things you exchanged with me before can't be exchanged for so many things. You're so smart. Do you really think you picked up the medicinal herbs for refining pills? System, actually, I really picked it up. Vertex. Chapter 274. Ji Xiaoxi panicked and couldn't control herself anymore. She typed a lot of words. If it wasn't for Tang Guo's understanding of her, she might have sympathized with her. No one in the group came out to help. They were all aware of Ji Xiaoxi's ugliness, so no one sympathized with her. Although the school bell's smart pills were meant to tease her, if the other party was a smart and hardworking person, they would use these pills reasonably. The pills could be used to solve difficult problems that they usually couldn't solve, as well as some problems that they usually couldn't handle. In the end, they could definitely be admitted to a good university. However, she only wanted to reap without sowing and used her super smart pills on exams. It was simply a waste of talent. She deserved to end up like this. Ji Xiaoxi, I'll use all my items to exchange for one pill. Just one pill, okay? Ji Xiaoxi's thoughts were that she was relatively equal in all other subjects except language. She had learned these 3 subjects since she was young, so she had an advantage. On the other hand, there were only 3 subjects in the science exam. There was more content and the questions were more difficult. She would use this pill on the science exam. Tang Guo raised an eyebrow and agreed. She also said, super smart pills can only eat 15 pills at most. How many did you eat before? I remember that you gave some to your friend last time. Even if you split it in half, it shouldn't be a problem. Ji Xiaoxi felt the soles of her feet turn cold. She had a bad feeling. She had eaten 16 pills by herself. School bell, what do you mean? What will happen if I eat more than 15 pills? I didn't give it to you for your own good. I was afraid that if you ate more than 15 pills, you would be stuck forever. I can't do anything about it. It's because I overused my brain. This is also why I said last time that it would be the last deal. If you didn't come for your friend, I wouldn't have given it to you. I'll give you 16 pills in total. Even if you only give one to your friend and you eat 15 pills, there won't be such consequences. I'll give it to you. What? Ji Xiaoxi's eyes widened. She took off her wig and touched her bald head. In an instant, all the blood drained from her head. She would never grow hair again. Super smart pills could only eat 15 pills. Ji Xiaoxi angrily picked up her phone and typed, "Why didn't you say so earlier? I only planned to give you 16 pills. You even said that you would give them to your friends. No matter how much you ate, you would never exceed 15 pills. I also forgot about this problem. After all, very few people want to exchange this from me. The most they can exchange is no more than 15. If it's more than that, I won't give it to them. You're an exception. If it weren't for your relationship with your friend, I wouldn't have made an exception. Host, your explanation is so serious. I almost believed you." The system silently peeked at him. "Is this for your friend or for you? And how many have you eaten so far?" Tang Guo asked silently. Ji Xiaoxi was still immersed in the fact that she would never be able to grow hair because of herself. The other party only thought that she had given it to her friend. This was a trap that she had dug herself. Who could she blame? Ji Xiaoxi, do you still need it? To be honest, I don't want to make an exception for you a second time. If you don't need it, I'll leave. Ji Xiaoxi reacted. Yes, I'll give you the rest. Since he couldn't grow hair anymore, there was no difference between eating one less or one more. Tomorrow was the college entrance exam. She had to perform exceptionally well. After exchanging the pills, Ji Xiaoxi was no longer in the mood to study. She lay on the bed in a daze. She couldn't help but touch her bald head. Once she thought about how she would never be able to grow hair, her tears fell. Peak. Chapter 275. When the college entrance examination results came out, number 1 high school was in the limelight. The top scorer for 2 subjects would probably not appear for many years to come. It should be said that it might not appear again in the future. What was even scarier was that the 2 of them were a couple. The scariest thing was that Wei Yu was once last place. The teacher was not surprised that they scored full marks. Their usual test papers were also very perfect. Only the language teacher would deduct 1 point out of friendship. There were many teachers marking the college entrance examination papers. A full score essay had to be unanimously agreed by several teachers, who knew that these 2 who scored full marks would end up with full marks in all subjects, and they were even a couple. Ji Xiaoxi looked at the report card in her hand and tears fell. Chinese 109, Mathematics 70, English 93, Science 130, a total of 402. She finally broke down. If she did not eat the science exam, her final score would definitely be below 100. Back then, other than her final exam score of 500 and above, even in the midterm exam, she could still hover around 480 with some cleverness without taking any pills. The college entrance examination final score was 402 points, which was not even the undergraduate score. She had never thought that her results would be so bad. If she did not take any pills, what would her score be? She would not even be able to reach 400. She stared blankly at the two people being interviewed on the television. Even if Tang Guo's face was ruined, her eloquent manner was still dazzling. Even a handsome guy like Wei Yu could not steal her light. Ji Xiaoxi covered her face and cried. Why was it like this? She had been studying every day. Tang Guo did not spend much time studying. She finished her homework in the classroom every day before going back. There were no books in her bag at all. She was just like Tang Guo. She even brought her homework home to finish. They had the same amount of studying time, but she got 402 while Tang Guo got full marks. Xiaoxi, do you want to repeat your studies or choose a better specialization? You might not have done well this time. If you repeat your studies, I'll use the money I saved for you to study in college. If you don't want to repeat your studies, you can go to a specialization. It's not like there's no chance in a specialization. You can even upgrade your specialization. As long as you work hard, you won't be worse than others. Ji Xiaoxi's mother comforted her daughter and patted Ji Xiaoxi's head. Is it because of your hair loss that you can't calm down? When you've decided, I'll take you to a specialist. Ji Xiaoxi's expression was wooden. Let's go to a specialization. Why did she want her to go back to number 1 high school? Tang Guo and Wei Yu went to be university. Fu Zhuoshu also went to be university. When he saw these two perverts going to be university hand in hand, his heart ached. He couldn't help but admire Wei Yu. How much did he like Tang Guo? How much effort did he put in to stand in the same position as Tang Guo? Fu Zhuoshu was relieved was Tang Guo was Tang Guo's. Tang Guo Yush's was Tang Tang's Tang's was Tang. He and Ji Xiaoxi had already broken up. He didn't like Ji Xiaoxi. At that time, he had acted in a fit of pique. He had indeed let her down. He wanted to be tactful, but Ji Xiaoxi was too unreasonable. In the end, it was his parents who settled the matter. Ji Xiaoxi only broke up with him after taking a sum of money from his family. Tang was. It was probably because of her face. Her face was very similar to Tang Guo's. Peak. Chapter 276. Ji Xiaoxi went to a good specialist school. At first, she also signed up for a major. She was full of enthusiasm and swore to work hard to get promoted. She wanted those who looked down on her to open their eyes wide and see that she was just a dusty pearl. But in the next semester, she could not calm down. She started to fall in love. She went out to bars with her classmates and played games online all night. She no longer pursued high scores in exams. She only wanted to pass and not fail. She could not go to classes that she did not like. She would not go if she could not wake up in the morning. She would ask someone to help her take attendance. Even if she went, she would play with her phone. Anyway, everyone said that university was for fun. In the few days before the exam, she would memorize and take the exam. She forgot the unwillingness in her heart, forgot to show those who looked down on her, and forgot her desire to advance to a major. When her parents called, her excuse was always that she was busy with her studies. She always called her parents and said that she did not have any living expenses. Tang Guo and Wei Yu's school life was still very sweet. Tang Guo did not intend to take the business route in this world. She took the academic route of a top student. She chose the most difficult mathematics department. Wei Yu did not choose economics. Instead, he chose biology. This surprised many people. Every time someone asked him, "Isn't it best to choose economics since your family owns a mine?" Wei Yu only smiled. "I'm more interested in biology." The two of them were busy with their own studies. Every day, They would take an hour to meet, eat, and chat. They showed off their love and displayed a wave of public display of affection in B University. Everyone thought that the two of them would choose to get married after graduation. Unexpectedly, that was not the case. Tang Guo devoted herself to mathematics, but no matter how busy she would meet Wei Yu every week. Their relationship was not affected at all. Wei Yu also continued to work on the research of biology and the development of the Wei Corporation. In the end, he set up his own laboratory and the Wei Corporation fully invested in it. Everyone knew that Wei Yu was doing a very mysterious experiment, but no one knew the details. Tang Guo won the Hua Luogang Mathematics Award at the age of 27. At that time, Wei Yu had expanded the Wei group tenfold, but he spent more time in the laboratory and still met Tang Guo twice a week. When Tang Guo was 32 years old, she won the Wolf International Mathematics Prize. She won the highest honor for China's mathematics and also made a great contribution to the mathematics world. In the second year, the mathematical formula named Guo's formula appeared in the mathematics textbooks of high school students. The expressions of the students in No. 1 middle school at that time were like this. At that time, Wei Yu was a very low-key richest man in the country and was even ranked in the top 10 in the world. However, he still did not put his energy into the company. He spent all his time in the laboratory. Everyone was used to it. Perhaps this was Chairman Wei's hobby. Although he didn't achieve much, it was much better than those greedy and lecherous CEOs. Tang Guo won the Fields Medal at the age of 35. The name of Tang Guo once again resounded throughout the world. She had won limitless glory for China. At that time, the concept of Guo's formula had already filled the entire high school textbook. The students in number 1 middle school, senior, please don't hurt us like this. There are too many formulas, too complicated, too difficult to calculate, too difficult to memorize. Seeing that we are all schoolmates, can you be merciful? However, the reality was that Guo's formula, concepts, and new theories were constantly appearing. The textbooks of high school students were getting more and more difficult year after year. The mathematics subject in China had become the most difficult subject of all. Every time they stared at the Guo's formula, the students couldn't help but go online and find a photo of that smiling woman and stare at it for a long time. A living mathematician was really scary, especially a female mathematician. Her hair was so thick, but she wasn't bald. It was so scary. Peak. Chapter 277. This year, Tang Guo was 38 years old, and Wei Yu was 40 years old. The two of them agreed to meet at a cold drink shop. Wei Yu was already a mature man, and time did not leave any traces on his face. This man was like a fine wine, becoming more and more fragrant as time passed. However, the gaze in Tang Guo's eyes was still pure and affectionate. As long as she frowned slightly, he would be very worried. What kind of ice cream does Guo Guo want to eat? He asked this question countless times without getting tired of it. The corners of Tang Guo's mouth curled up. I want every kind. She was also very willing to answer. Okay, Guo Guo will wait. The man turned around to buy ice cream and asked the shop assistant to dig out a small spoon of each kind of ice cream. Soon, he came back with the ice cream and placed it in front of Tang Guo, handing her a small spoon. He didn't eat anything and just watched her eat. That doting gaze was simply about to melt the hearts of all the female shop assistants. Even though the two of them would come to their shop every week to eat all the flavors of ice cream, and every dog food made their hearts feel stifled, they would not be used to it if they did not come for a week. Tang Guo buried her head in the ice cream and ate it. She was almost 40 years old, but she still looked like a little girl. Host, according to the plot, Wei Yu's life is coming to an end. The system carefully reminded. In his previous life, he was a gangster boss and died in a fight with someone. However, some plots are irreversible, such as death. I understand. Tang Guo curled the corners of her mouth and tasted the delicious ice cream seriously. In the remaining time of his life, I will accompany him well and let him leave without regrets. Host, aren't you sad? Are you sad? Wei Yu should be the person who treats you the best. He was referring to the small world he had experienced. Only Wei Yu had never hurt the host in the slightest. Since high school, he had carefully protected and doted on his host. Tang Guo's lips curled into a faint smile. Of course I'm sad. It's a pity. I really like him. But death is not scary to me. The scariest thing is that my death is just another beginning, an endless cycle. Tang Guo ate a bowl of ice cream for half an hour. Seeing that she had finished eating, Wei Yu took out a tissue and carefully wiped the corners of her mouth. His sincere look was as if he was treating a precious and fragile object. Boyfriend. Tang Guo looked at him. Do you want to get married? Wei Yu was stunned for a moment. He threw the tissue into the wastebasket and caressed her face with his palm. His voice was low and hoarse. I think about it all the time. Then let's get married. Wei Yu's eyes flashed with surprise as he held his girlfriend's hand. Is Guo Guo proposing to me? Yeah. I should be the one to propose to Guo Guo. Wei Yu's eyes were filled with smiles. He held her hand tightly and gazed at her affectionately. Guo Guo, give me some time. I will give you my most precious gift. All right, I'll satisfy you. The two of them walked out of the cold drink shop hand in hand. They looked really compatible. From that day on, Wei Yu became even busier. It wasn't until a year later that Tang Guo received a call. At that time, she was calculating a very complicated formula. Tang Guo, who had always been professional, threw down the results in her hand and turned to leave. At the Wei family's private hospital, Tang Guo pushed open the door. Seeing this, the people inside quickly retreated. She came to the bedside and held Wei Yu's hand. Wei Yu's face was a little pale, and he was even thinner than when they met 2 days ago. Guo Guo, this is the best gift I can give you. Wei Yu took out a transparent glass bottle filled with green liquid. Peek. Chapter 278. Tang Guo held the glass bottle and asked in a low voice, "What is this? It looks so beautiful, like it's glowing. It's really the best gift I've received in my life." Tang Guo smiled. I won't be able to receive a better gift than this in the future. Wei Yu's eyes lit up and he said hopefully, skin regeneration fluid. I've named it skin regeneration fluid. He touched the hideous scar on Tang Guo's face with heartache. Guo Guo is a girl who loves to be beautiful. How can I let this scar stop Guo Guo's beauty? Tang Guo was stunned and looked at Wei Yu in a daze. You've been studying for half your life just for this? Yes. Wei Yu was a little excited. This is the greatest achievement of my life. His eyes were bright. This is my proposal gift. I hope you like it. She was so perfect and liked to pursue perfection. How could he not be willing to help her be more perfect? He loved her, the kind of love that deeply. Her every frown and smile could affect his heart. If she was sad, his heart would ache. If she was happy, he would be happy. Her happiness was his happiness. Tang Guo patted Wei Yu's face and smiled. Boyfriend, you're really too willful. In order to study this regeneration fluid, you don't even care about your own body. Do you know? I actually don't care about this scar. She was really charming when she smiled. Boyfriend, do you have any misunderstanding about my charm? I have countless admirers with this scar. People praise me for my beauty every day. Do you have to provoke so many love rivals for yourself? Seeing Wei Yu's stunned expression, Tang Guo lowered her head and kissed his lips. But I really like it. Boyfriend, you're so good to me. But I'm a little angry. I've become beautiful, but you're gone, Guo Guo. Tang Guo reached out to cover his lips. Didn't you propose to me? I agree. Let's get married tomorrow. Guo Guo, isn't tomorrow a little too rushed? Wei Yu was a little confused. He hadn't prepared everything about the wedding yet. Even if they were going to get married, they had to give her a wedding that she would never forget. You don't have to worry about that, boyfriend. I got someone to arrange the wedding a year ago. You just have to show up tomorrow. Wei Yu knew that there was something wrong with his body. He was clearly fine 2 days ago, but he collapsed just like that. He was very panicked. He was afraid that if he left, Guo Guo would be sad. He was also afraid of losing her. Holding his girlfriend's hand, he felt more at ease. Guo Guo wanted to marry him, But he was a little hesitant. He didn't have long to live. If he got married, wouldn't he be holding Guogua back? Boyfriend, if you dare to run away from the marriage, I will let you die with everlasting regret. Wei Yu hurriedly threw the idea of running away from the marriage to the back of his mind. Guogua was someone who kept her word. He was not afraid of dying with everlasting regret. He was afraid that she would hurt herself. Tangua sat with Wei Yu in the ward for a long time. During this time, she browsed through the plane group. After thinking for a while, she sent out a message. Sage Ziyun, do you have the life-prolonging pill? Ziyun Zhenren, yes, yes. Campus Bell, how many do you need? Campus Bell, give me one first. I'll try to see if it works. Some things in the plot were irreversible. She could change the plot, but she couldn't change the length of his life. As the system said, she really did want Wei Yu to live a little longer. After getting the life-prolonging pill, Tangua came to Wei Yu's side and directly fed it to him. Swallow it. Peek. Chapter 279. Wei Yu did not dare to disobey and quickly swallowed it. Seeing this, she was both angry and amused. This fool was really obedient. He was so obedient that it moved people. System, help me scan my boyfriend's body and see if the life-continuing pill has any effect. The system was very fast and soon came up with a result. Sorry, host, the life-continuing pill has no effect. Tangua understood. She had guessed that it might be useless, and it really was useless. She squatted beside Wei Yu and asked softly, Boyfriend, do you have any regrets in your life? Regrets? Wei Yu thought for a while and held Tangua's hand tightly. I don't have any regrets in my life. Instead, I'm very lucky to have met you. Guogua, I don't have any regrets. If I really don't have 2 more days to live, I'll only regret that I can't continue to be by your side. Host, your boyfriend's thoughts are so simple. He's too easy to satisfy. He's not greedy at all. He loves you so much. The system waved its handkerchief and cried like a tearful person. The wedding was held the next day. When countless people received the invitation that night, they were all dumbfounded. Only those who were well-informed knew that Wei Yu's body couldn't take it anymore. For a moment, countless people couldn't help but sigh. What a beautiful couple. No matter how busy the people who were invited were, those who could rush back had to rush back overnight. Those who were further away could only watch helplessly. Fortunately, there was still the live broadcast of the wedding for them to enjoy. Tangua wore a pure white wedding dress and held Father Tang's hand as they walked towards the auditorium. Everyone was stunned when they saw her bright and clean face. After Wei Yu held her from Father Tang's hand and looked at her beautiful face, he no longer had any regrets. At this moment, Tangua took the microphone and said to the countless people below, He is Wei Yu, my future husband. He is a great person. Tangua took out a glass bottle filled with green liquid. There was still half a bottle of green liquid left. This is skin regeneration liquid. It can promote the regeneration of damaged skin. As soon as she finished speaking, the people who had come to attend the wedding were shocked. They all thought that this was a miracle in the history of the biological world. Once this regeneration liquid was put into production, it would be a huge improvement for humans. Not only does he know how to earn money, but he's also a biologist. Do you have any objections? No, he didn't have any opinions at all. Tangua was satisfied. She smiled and looked at the doting Wei Yu. Wei Yu, I'll marry you. Will you marry me? I am willing. It's your turn. Wei Yu's lips curled up as he gazed at her affectionately. Guogua, I want to marry you. Are you willing to marry me? I do. Tangua's smile softened. Hubby, it's time for us to exchange rings. Wife, don't worry, I'll help you put it on right away. The priest was speechless. Who am I? Where am I? What am I doing here? The people watching the wedding were speechless. What a display of affection. It was still the same. The wedding of the century ended in a daze. This awesome couple had completed their own wedding ceremony. The biological world was in turmoil because of the regeneration liquid, but Wei Yu was so ill that he couldn't get out of bed, and his consciousness was gradually blurring. Until the last moment of his life, he held Tangua's hand tightly and smiled. It was a smile of satisfaction. Guo, I'm leaving. Tangua lowered her eyes and held his big hand with both hands. She didn't say anything and didn't smile at him as usual. Guo, I want to see you smile again. It's that kind of smile that's especially flamboyant and a little naughty. I like it so much. Peek. Chapter 280. Tangua raised her head, and the corners of her lips curled up slightly as she gave him a wanton smile. Wei Yu was indeed satisfied. His eyes became more and more blurry. Just when he thought that he would fall into darkness, his eyes gradually became clear. After Tangua laughed, she lowered her head. The corners of her mouth curved. This was the first time she couldn't accept this kind of life and death parting. Was she sad, or was it this body that was sad? Both were the reasons why she was sad. Wei Yu's eyes had already regained their clarity. He looked at the woman in front of him who had her head buried, and there was a hint of love in his clear eyes. He raised his hand and touched her cheek. It felt so good. He sighed softly in his heart. His steady heart was gradually falling. However, time didn't allow for it. There was helplessness in his eyes. He had dug a hole and he had to finish it even if he cried. Guo, see you in the next life. After saying that, he closed his eyes reluctantly and slowly let go of her hand. There was a trace of satisfaction on his lips. When Tangua heard the words "see you in the next life," she raised her head abruptly. He had already left. Tong, he said he wanted to see me in the next life. Tangua touched Wei Yu's face. What a pity, Wei Yu. You might not be able to see me in the next life. You're so good. I'll try my best to remember you for a longer time and not forget you so quickly. Tangua seemed to have thought of a good idea. Tong, save the images of this world for me. I'll take a look when I have time. When I'm in a bad mood, I'll watch this world heal. System, host, don't be sad, I can't help it. I'm also giving my heart sincerely. How can I not be sad? I'll forget about it after lying down for a few days in Tianquan. After Wei Yu's funeral, Tangua spent some time with family Tang parents and went to the orphanage to adopt an obedient child. She personally taught him for a year and sent him to the family Tang couple. The next day, the servant pushed open Tangua's room and found that she had already left. She was holding her and Wei Yu's wedding photo in her hand. Those who saw it couldn't help but cry. The great mathematician finally couldn't bear to part with her beloved husband. The equally great entrepreneur and biologist left with him. The story of the two had been passed down in this world for countless years. Their achievements were regarded as treasures by later generations. Every bit of their love was printed into a book, and it was sold out every time. Their story had never been forgotten. Dear host, are you all right? Do you want a hangover pill? The little assistant system said in a flattering tone. The host of the previous world was very happy. He had obtained a lot of energy. That's right, he had leveled up again. He was full of energy. As long as the host lived happily in each world, there would be a lot of energy to absorb after the end. It was really wonderful. His great host was his great patron, his biggest leg. Tangua rubbed her eyebrows. For the time being, she didn't absorb the memories. The original owner drank too much wine and slept on the ground all night. She caught a cold. Her voice was a little hoarse. Give me one. After taking the sobering pill, her mind cleared up a little. She looked around and saw that the spacious living room was in a mess. There were wine bottles everywhere. There were piles of takeout boxes. She didn't know how many days they had been there. It was summer now, so the whole room was filled with a rancid smell. Looking at her nightgown that reeked of alcohol, she rushed into the bathroom. Peek. Chapter 281. Tangua washed herself first, then found a clean set of clothes to change into, and quickly tidied up the house. Putting the garbage at the door, she returned to the room and began to accept the plot of this world. This time, her identity was an A-list actress, not the kind with acting skills, but a popular actress. She relied on her beauty and was praised by many people. She was called a vase actress by many people. Her acting skills were not very good, but there were still many people who liked her. The original owner was a very kind girl. Every time she got paid, half of the advertising fees would be donated. Therefore, the public accepted a kind female star who only relied on her face to make a living. However, this was limited to the past. Last month, she was still walking the red carpet and was envied by many female stars. Now she became a white lotus that everyone on the internet cursed. She was a hypocrite who would do anything to climb the ladder. She kicked away her boyfriend and hugged the thigh of an old man. How beautiful her image was in the past, how cruel the people who scolded her on the internet were now. The story started from the man that the original owner liked, the man who was once kicked away by her, the current film emperor Soo-hee. She and Soo-hee were in the same school since childhood. Their family was good. After puberty, she found that she liked Soo-hee. Soo-hee was the young master of the Soo family, and he also secretly loved her senior sister Bai Wen-wen. There were countless people who liked him. Even if she was the daughter of the family Tang, Soo-hee would not like her. Moreover, the family Tang never liked her to contact the Soo family. She chose to secretly love Soo-hee, and it lasted until high school, when the Soo family had an accident. The Soo family went bankrupt, Father Soo was hospitalized, and the original prosperous family suddenly fell. Soo-hee changed from a rich young master to a poor boy who had to work part-time every day after school. The girls who liked him left him. Only she did not leave Soo-hee. Soo-hee was indeed a very inspirational teenager. In such a difficult situation, he was admitted to the Film and Television Academy he liked. The original owner had known his ambition for a long time and was also admitted. At that time, Soo-hee secretly loved her senior sister Bai Wen-wen went abroad. Soo-hee also thought that it was impossible for him and Bai Wen-wen. The original owner, who had been secretly in love with Soo-hee, decided to confess to Soo-hee. Soo-hee agreed. After the sophomore year, the two began to take on roles, most of which were small roles. Because the original owner chose to be with Soo-hee, her family has always opposed it and almost broke off the relationship. Naturally, they would not use resources to help them. Soo-hee was especially talented in acting. If he was given more screen time and lines, he would definitely be very attractive. Many small directors liked Soo-hee. However, every time Soo-hee thought that he was going to be chosen and that he was about to get the role of the third or second male lead, the other party would say that he was not suitable the next day. Once or twice might be a coincidence, but what about 20 or 30 times? Even if someone intercepted him, it couldn't be so coincidental, right? Both of them guessed that someone was targeting Soo-hee. The other party's identity was definitely not someone they could come into contact with. So what if they knew? Relatively speaking, the host's development was not bad. She became an actress to get closer to Soo-hee, so she wasn't interested in acting at first. Seeing Soo-hee fall over and over again, she still couldn't do anything to stop him. She had thought of asking her parents for help, but every time she thought of her parents' hateful gazes towards the Soo family, she had already hurt her parents' hearts once. She didn't want it to happen again. Therefore, she asked her good friend to help her find out who was targeting Soo-hee. Not long after, she found out from her good friend that there was someone targeting Soo-hee. She went to meet that person behind Soo-hee's back and planned to have a talk with him. Vertex. Chapter 282. This person was called Xiao Nai, a famous genius director in the country. When the original host found out that it was him, she was very shocked. Xiao Nai readily met her and didn't deliberately target her. As if he knew her purpose of coming, he told her his conditions before she could speak. Xiao Nai's original words were, "If you follow me, I'll let Soo-hee go." The original host's first reaction was that it was impossible. She loved Soo-hee and she couldn't leave him. Although she knew in her heart that the person Soo-hee liked was still his senior, Bai Wen-wen. Otherwise, why didn't anything happen between the two of them except holding hands occasionally after they had been dating for 2 years? Xiao Nai didn't force her and only said, "I'll give you 3 days to think about it. If you agree, I can give the resources to Soo-hee." The original host took 3 days to think about it. During this time, She saw Su his decadent appearance and couldn't bear to see her beloved so sad. Finally, she agreed. She told Su He that they should break up. At that time, Su He was very sensitive and quarreled with her. His words were very unpleasant and she was very sad. She understood Su He's heart and thought that the whole world had betrayed him. She didn't blame him. Just like that, the original host followed Chao Nai. Chao Nai didn't have any requirements for her. On the contrary, he took care of her and gave her a lot of resources. It seemed that he wanted to make her famous. Unfortunately, her ambition wasn't there. Without Chao Nai's interference and with the resources Chao Nai promised, Su He became famous step by step until he won the Best Actor award last year. This year, he was with his goddess, Bai Wenwen. The more glorious Su He was, the more heartbroken the original host was. She gave up the person she loved the most and put everything into it. The person she loved was with someone else. And the other party never knew what she had done. Seeing Su He and Bai Wenwen loving each other, she finally couldn't help quarreling with Chao Nai and scolding him. If it weren't for him, she would be with Su He, who she liked. She didn't know why, but Chao Nai, who was rumored to have a bad temper, didn't say anything about her beating and scolding. When she had vented enough, he said that she could leave and he wouldn't target Su He anymore. Today, it had been more than a month since she left Chao Nai. After leaving Chao Nai, she couldn't help but go to Su He. It would have been better if she hadn't gone. The moment she went, Su He was reminded of the past. Of course, Su He knew that it was Chao Nai who targeted him and stole his girlfriend. Su He also found out that Chao Nai was the one who made the Su family go bankrupt. What he couldn't accept was that Chao Nai was his half-brother. He couldn't do anything to Chao Nai, but couldn't he take revenge on the original owner? Bai Wenwen, who was beside him, was not a vegetarian. Every time the original owner did something, it would always be seen through by the other party, making him feel embarrassed. Under the combined efforts of Su and He, the true face of the original owner was finally exposed and became the target of abuse on the internet. Because of this, she locked herself up and drank for a month. If Tang Guo didn't wake up at this time, according to the original track, the original owner would have gone to find Su He again today. Su He couldn't bear it any longer and would push the original owner into the abyss step by step. He would let the original owner get poisoned and push her to those fat and greasy men. She would become a slutty flower vase star. After being hurt again and again, 3 years later, on the day of Su and Bai Wenwen's wedding, the original owner would drive her car and hit the wedding car, intending to die with them. But in the end, only she would die. She would rush directly off the bridge with the car. Nothing would happen to Bai Wenwen's wedding car, but she would be frightened. The peak. Chapter 283. Due to the special plot, the host's lifespan in this world can be increased by 10 years in the remaining 3 years. In other words, she could stay in this world for a maximum of 13 years. Tang Guo flipped through the posts on the internet. Countless abusive words filled the entire internet. Everything was said as if the original host had committed a heinous crime. In fact, Su He's image was too good. His acting skills were good, he was handsome, and he was a very clean and hardworking man. Bai Wenwen also entered the entertainment industry as a top student. Although she was not very popular now, only second or third tier, she was versatile. She often shared her calligraphy, piano, guqin, and flute playing on the internet. In the eyes of the netizens, she was a woman who was light and gentle, worthy of their movie King Su. Tang Guo looked at the bottom of her Weibo. Well, very good. Most of the Weibo was scolding her. She didn't know if the original host had given up on herself. She didn't do public relations and didn't delete the comments. Her loyal fans didn't dare to make a sound. The company had already hidden her, and her agent, Jiao Hong, hadn't contacted her for a long time. Host, what's your plan? The system was a little excited. My ability has improved a lot. If you don't like these comments, I can help you block them all. I can also find them through the internet and expose them all. Tang Guo was surprised for a moment. Tong, where is your moral integrity? Ying, no, my current identity is a female celebrity with 50 million fans. If you block all these comments, someone will come to check my water meter soon. Tangwa said, when the time comes, I will compete with the state apparatus. If I resist, this world will immediately collapse. If it collapses, how can I take revenge? I inherited all the emotions of the original host. Now I'm full of anger. But, host, I see that you are smiling and don't look angry. Your IQ has increased a lot, and you talk a lot more. When did you become angry when you saw me angry? The system didn't say anything. It hurriedly pulled out some videos to watch. It watched as its host laughed and toyed with people to death. Sure enough, when the host was angry, she never looked angry. Instead, she smiled more and more beautifully. It trembled. It absolutely couldn't judge its host's mood by her expression. Then what should we do now? Is there anything I can do for you? Tangwa was very satisfied with the system's attitude. Let's post it on Weibo first. The system was a little nervous. It didn't think it was as simple as posting on Weibo. She secretly glanced at the countless scolding comments on Weibo. Her host was trying to stir up trouble. Why was he a little excited instead of wanting to stop it? He was really looking forward to it. Tangwa only sent 3 words, just wait and see. Within a minute of posting on Weibo, she was on the hot search list. When the fans on Weibo saw Tangwa's post, they were stunned. After those things were exposed, the host didn't post anything on Weibo, nor did she explain anything. It was also because of her negative attitude that the company gave up on her. They naturally wouldn't care about a disobedient celebrity who didn't earn money. Besides, there were so many pieces of evidence about Best Actor Sue's popularity and acting skills. There was no need to offend such a potential Best Actor for a vase with no background. Vase girl, get out of the entertainment industry. How disgusting. What do you mean by wait and see? Do you think you can still make a comeback? You're not pretending to be a White Lotus anymore. Vertex. Chapter 284. Tangwa didn't care about the curses on the internet. Instead, her diehard fans seemed to have the courage to continue supporting their idol because of her. Gwugwa, I believe in you. Our Gwugwa is a kind person. I've always liked her and I believe in her. No matter what, Gwugwa, I'll always support you. You're so good. They're just jealous of you. Tangwa glanced at the comments and smiled. She picked out a few comments from her diehard fans and replied, thank you. Wait for me. Her diehard fans almost cried when they saw her reply. They had waited for a month and their goddess was finally willing to stand up. In the past month, they had always thought that everything was real and that Tangwa didn't say anything because she didn't dare to. But they also thought that the kind Gwugwa wasn't that kind of person. This short Weibo post, as well as those few comments and replies, was the courage they had to continue supporting the company. Host, do you need to clarify those posts that slandered you? The system was now holding its breath. It finally had a chance to be useful, but the host didn't seem to be in a hurry. No need. Let them scold me for a while. She smiled. Slandering is still slandering. It's very useful for what I'm going to do next. Of course, my main goal is to see them get slapped in the face in the future. I want to see them turn red in the face and do something desperate. When everyone thinks that I'm the kind of person described on the internet and everyone is scolding me, they won't be able to take it if I provide evidence to clarify things. But that's not all. They've always thought that the clean and beautiful male gods and goddesses have done all kinds of shameful and messy things behind their backs. I don't know if they can take it. The system trembled. It couldn't take it. It definitely couldn't take it. TSK. When the host is bad, no one can compare to her. Tong, I'll give you a task now. Find out how many people are slandering me and find out who's behind them. Also, Tangwa smiled meaningfully. Dig out their history since their debut. I'll ask you for it when I need it. No problem. Great host, leave it to me. As long as there's internet, it's my world. The system said excitedly. Tangwa pursed her lips. Very good. Keep an eye on those people. If there are any shocking videos, record them. Understood. That's pretty good, Boss. I have to say that you're a very useful system now. I don't even need to personally install a listening device to hack their network when it comes to things like monitoring and secretly taking pictures. Tang Guo was sincerely praising her. Millimeter, what should I do if I'm a little shy? This is the first time the host has praised me like this. Then, Tang Guo called her agent, Jiao Hong. Jiao Hong's voice was a little cold. The company has already discussed it. I'm no longer your agent. Your agent should be contacting you soon. It's not that I want to criticize you. At the same time, Tang Guo saw a new call coming in. She immediately hung up the phone with Jiao Hong and picked up the strange call. Since she was no longer her manager, there was no need for her to waste her breath. Jiao Hong, hello. The person on the other end paused for a few seconds before replying. Hello, is this Tang Guo? Yes. I'm your new agent. Are you free now? Perhaps she wanted to say, are you okay? Yes. Peek. Chapter 285. Tang Guo opened the door. She was surprised that her new manager was only a 20-year-old girl, 2 years younger than her. The girl had a round face and a pair of beautiful eyes. Guo Guo, you seem to be in good shape. Zhu Yi was also surprised. She had thought that she would see a very dispirited woman. She didn't expect the woman in front of her to be so beautiful without makeup. Oh my God, especially that almost no pores could be seen. Her skin was so fair and delicate that it made people go crazy with jealousy. Tang Guo invited her in. Zhu Yi first introduced herself and then said apologetically, the company, I know. Tang Guo interrupted her. You can make the arrangements. I need to act, so I won't take any commercials. It would be best if there was a reality show. I don't want a normal reality show with a script. I like something more challenging. For example, survival in the wild, outdoor survival, dancing with wild animals, experiencing life in the countryside. Tang Guo calmly explained her thoughts. I believe they would be very willing to hire someone like me. For the sake of ratings, even if she was a blacklisted celebrity, many shows would be willing to hire her. Zhu Yi was obviously stunned. You want to participate in a reality show? She held a few scripts in her hands. Actually, I have prepared a script for you. Do you want to take a look first? Sure. Acting and participating in a reality show don't conflict. You just have to arrange the time. Zhu Yi stuttered. But, wouldn't it be too rushed? Do you want to rest for a while? She looked at the woman in high spirits in front of her and her heart thumped. She didn't expect Guo Guo to be so aggressive and flirt with her. From the first glance, she could tell that the words on the internet were definitely not true. How could Guo Guo, who was so aggressive, do such things? Let me take a look at the scripts. Zhu Yi looked at the smiling woman and quickly handed the scripts over. There were a total of 3 scripts. None of them were big productions. She had carefully selected them. They weren't the female leads either. They were the second or third female leads. However, the directors of these small productions had a good reputation. They used actors based on their acting skills and not their character. She also knew that Tang Guo's acting skills were not very good, but it was still early. She could practice for a while before going for the audition. The first one was in the Republic of China genre. Zhu Yi chose the role of the third female lead, a patriotic woman who was born in troubled times. In the end, in order to save a high-level talent, she chose to perish together with the enemy. There weren't many scenes, but if played well, it could leave a deep impression. The second one was an ancient palace drama. It was still the third female lead. The character was a demoness who brought disaster to the country, which suited Tang Guo's appearance very well. She thought that this character was not bad and that Tang Guo would be easier to grasp. The third was a school script. This was the script that she was least optimistic about. It was a second female lead who was sisters with the first female lead. The third one. Tang Guo browsed very quickly. The first one was too ordinary, the second one was not challenging, and the third one. She lowered her head and smiled. She liked it very much. It reminded her of many wonderful memories. Although she was only going to act as the second female lead and a second female lead who was going to wreak havoc, this wasn't important. Wei Yu wasn't in this story, so she could be a bad woman in peace. The first female lead was the younger sister. Her character was set up as a silly and sweet girl. The second female lead was the older sister. She was an all-round genius. This suited her character very well. She was also very all-round. System. Then I'll let you know when the audition is. Guo, get ready. This role isn't decided directly. The director has to personally ask. Peak. Chapter 286. Guo, do you need to rest for a while? Zhu Yi was a little worried because she hadn't seen Tang Guo. She had already taken over Tang Guo for a week and accompanied her to all kinds of training, especially in terms of fitness. Tang Guo was so hardworking that it made one's hair stand on end. She worked out in the morning, performed skills classes in the afternoon, and studied scripts and watched classic TV series and movies at night. She only slept for 6 hours a day and even communicated with her in English in the morning. Tang Guo's fluency and pronunciation in English shocked her. She wasn't a vase actress. She was an old monster in the mountains. Zhu Yi had been abroad for a few years, and her pronunciation was not as good as Tang Guo's. Zhu Yi's heart pounded. Her goddess was so amazing. It was a lot of pressure to be a fan. Yes, she was Tang Guo's little fan, the kind that was a secret fan. Just then, Tang Guo's phone rang. She looked at the caller ID, Villain Qiao, and shivered. What did that mean? Guo, phone. Answer it. Zhu Yi stuck out her tongue and picked up the phone. A deep voice sounded. How are you? Mr. Qiao, right? Guo is busy. I'm her new manager. Why are you looking for Guo? Oh. If she needs help, ask her to come to me. The man's voice was still very deep. Zhu Yi stuttered. Could this be Guo's lover? Tang Guo walked over and took the phone. She looked at the caller ID and smiled. Why did you think of me? How have you been? Pretty good. I've taken a fancy to a new role. I'll be going for an audition in a few days. I'm also planning to participate in a reality show. Tang Guo smiled. My reputation is ruined. I'm planning to go for the acting route. The man heard her light and happy voice and was obviously in a good mood. Thinking of all the slanderous posts on the internet, she didn't care. I can help you clear your name. Tang Guo sneered. You want to help me clear my name? For what purpose? Are you feeling guilty after using me? Sorry. No need. Tang Guo smiled. Don't worry, Qiao Nai. You will be my target for revenge. Just you wait and see. Qiao Nai's originally gloomy mood became much better because of her words. She said she wanted to take revenge on him. That's right, he was the one who pushed her into the abyss and snatched her away from the person she loved the most. He had never been soft-hearted to his enemies, but he didn't expect that his heart would soften for once when it came to her. He couldn't bear to continue taking revenge. Looking at her stubborn look, he was reminded of his mother. She was also a flamboyant and beautiful woman. She was confident, arrogant, and never cared about being tainted by other people's feelings. She was also very stubborn. On the second day after he was born, his mother took him away without hesitation. As a result, her body was weak and she passed away a few years later. Perhaps it was Tang Guo's stubbornness that made him miss his mother and soften his heart. After Tang Guo hung up the phone, Zhu Yi asked carefully, who is this villain Qiao? Qiao Nai. Who is Qiao Nai? Zhu Yi's eyes suddenly widened. Wait, you mean Qiao Nai? The weird director who scolds people for no reason and is very picky. He can scold 10 actors away in one movie? Tang Guo nodded indifferently. That's him. Zhu Yi. Oh my god, her goddess was having an affair with Qiao Nai and she was still so calm. At the top. Chapter 287. Guo, are you confident? Zhu Yi was very nervous. Today was the day of the audition. She looked at Tang Guo, who was dressed in a school uniform, in disbelief. She had changed from a nation-destroying vixen to a beautiful female top student. She looked at the book in Tang Guo's hand. She thought it was a prop, but she didn't expect it to be a mathematical Olympiad book. Tang Guo's explanation was, as a top student, how can I not do mathematical Olympiad? Okay, she couldn't refute. But, it's fine if you're pretending, but why are you doing mathematical Olympiad questions here? Yes, they were in the middle. There were more than 20 people here for the audition. Tang Guo thought it was still early. She had just bought this mathematical Olympiad book, so she planned to do the questions to pass the time. Zhu Yi, goddess, mathematical Olympiad wasn't that easy to do. Fortunately, Tang Guo's current image was very different from her image in the public eye, so many people didn't recognize that the woman in front of them who was writing and drawing was the popular actress Tang Guo. She's too stiff. I need a genius high school second female lead, not a nerd wearing old-fashioned black-rimmed glasses. Shitsong rubbed her forehead. I'm going to film a school drama. The timeline is from the third year of high school to university. How can a nerd who studies all the time have a conflict with the female lead? The actress's eyes were red. She apologized, bowed, and ran out. If you continue like this, you'll become the second Qiao Nai. Shitsong was speechless. I don't want to be like this. It's too difficult to find an actress who suits me. None of the 9 actresses before me could figure out my image. They're too low. Okay, let's look at the next one. There are more than 20 second female leads here today. Maybe the next one will be good, Liang Chao said. I hope so. Next, Tang Guo. Tang Guo stood up. She was holding her mathematical Olympiad practice questions. Zhu Yi made an amitabha gesture from behind, asking for Buddha's blessing. Shitsong didn't care about it at first. She even took a sip of water when the door was pushed open. So you're here. The girl's clear and melodious voice rang out, causing Shitsong to be stunned for a moment. She raised her head in surprise. That glance made Shitsong lock her gaze on her. She was confident and arrogant. She was wearing an ordinary school uniform, but it looked like a high-end custom-made dress on her. Her background was that of a rich family's daughter, so this kind of temperament was completely suitable. I heard that you're also going to participate in the mathematical Olympiad competition. The girl continued to move forward and flipped through the mathematical Olympiad practice questions in her hand as if she was in a classroom. She chose to sit on the chair and spread the practice questions flat on the desk. She tilted her head and revealed a clean and bright smile. I plan to go too. Why can't I participate? Qin Mo, do you look down on me so much? Clearly, no one was rehearsing her lines with her, but she had mastered it so well that it didn't seem like she was talking to herself at all. It only made the audience feel that there was indeed someone talking to her, but they couldn't hear it. Strange, it was just too strange. Yes, I like you. Can't I like you? Shitsong took a deep breath. This is another scene. He clearly saw the change in Tang Guo's expression. The bitterness under that smile shocked him. At the same time, he was extremely excited. This was what he wanted. Peak. Chapter 288. So she's the one you like. She didn't go crazy, nor did she yell. She just said softly, what's so attractive about her? She looked helpless and pitiful. Shitsong suppressed her pounding heart and said, this is the third scene. Crying? Who are you crying for? Tang Guo frowned and snorted arrogantly. I really don't understand why Qin Mo likes a troublemaker like you. Shut up. No matter how painful it is, you have to endure it. Why are you crying? If you keep crying, the beasts will be attracted to you and we will all die. I don't want to die. Shitsong stood up and looked at Tang Guo excitedly. This was an outdoor activity in the script. Because of the female lead's carelessness, the two of them got lost in the forest and were chased by a tiger. In the end, the supporting female lead used her amazing IQ and skills to dodge the tiger's attack. The two of them climbed up a tree. The female lead fell and couldn't help but cry when she thought of the situation. She was scolded by the supporting female lead. Tang Guo's impatient expression disappeared and she greeted Shitsong with a smile. Director Sha. You're Tang Guo? Liang Chao, who was watching from the side, was in disbelief. He was the male lead of this school drama. You're Tang Guo? If he hadn't watched this scene at the beginning and knew it was Tang Guo, he wouldn't have watched it. But after watching the scene and realizing it was Tang Guo, the situation was different. Shutsung decided. This role belongs to you. Okay. Tang Guo smiled and nodded. Thank you Director Shi for giving me this opportunity. Before that incident, Tang Guo's reputation was very good. Director Shi didn't believe the rumors, and now that he saw Tang Guo, he didn't believe it even more. An actress with such excellent acting skills was very capable. What he couldn't figure out was why she didn't show off her acting skills and chose to be a vase actress. She took on movies that said I'm the prettiest in the world. Miss Tang, my name is Liang Chao. Hello. Liang Chao came up to her, his handsome face full of curiosity. Miss Tang, you're really different from the rumors. Shutsung wanted to throw Liang Chao out, afraid that he would scare away her second female lead. Tang Guo smiled. Hello, Mr. Liang. You'll soon realize that I'm different every day. Liang Chao laughed awkwardly. Miss Tang is really humorous and interesting. I believe that working with Miss Tang will be a very happy thing. Her acting skills were so good that he wanted to act with her immediately. Is Miss Liang holding the mathematical Olympiad? Yeah, I bought it on the way. Liang Chao's heart itched. He wanted to borrow it to take a look, but Shutsung hurriedly stopped him. She told Tang Guo to open a notice, and Tang Guo left. I don't have to worry about who the second female lead will be anymore, Liang Chao said with satisfaction. Uncle, I promise that your drama will be a hit. Get lost. Which of my movies isn't popular? Guo, there will be a wilderness survival reality show in a few months. Zhu Yi glanced at Tang Guo. I took a look at your schedule. It will be right after your school drama. It will take about 2 months to film. Zhu Yi was still dreaming that Tang Guo would get the role of the second female lead. Little Yi, help me take it. Really? Are you sure? Very sure. Zhu Yi sighed. She knew that there was nothing she could do. Right then, her phone rang. That's too much. Her facial expression changed when she picked up the call. What's wrong? The peak. Chapter 289. Director Shi just called and said that the investor of the school drama wants the role of the second female lead. Tang Guo wasn't surprised. At the same time, she knew who wanted the role, because this person seemed to know that the drama would be popular. She still asked, who is it? Wei Chuan. Zhu Yi's face didn't look good. This person isn't easy to offend. Otherwise, Director Shi wouldn't have called me directly to apologize. If I find out who wants to steal the role, I'll scold them to death. Tang Guo's mouth curled up. It's by Wen. What? Zhu Yi said in disbelief. Huh. Although she has some talent, does she have any acting skills? Tang Guo didn't speak. Her eyes were fixed on the current affairs news on TV. It reported that a woman's body was found in the woods on the outskirts of the city last night. Because that place was a surveillance blind spot, there was no way to capture who killed the woman. This person not only killed the woman, but also dragged her into the woods, intending to deceive everyone. However, he didn't expect that there were many old people walking dogs in the woods in the morning. Zhu Yi also saw it and scolded angrily. This is really crazy. Maybe the girl didn't die, but was dragged to death. Guo, do you want to look at the other 2 scripts? No. Tang Guo had no interest in looking at other scripts. I prefer the previous one. Help me sign up for the wilderness survival reality show first. That's also very interesting. Zhu Yi's mouth twitched. Was it very interesting? Okay, I'll listen to you. I'll go first. Call me if you need anything. She clenched her fist. She must not disappoint her goddess. Tongzi, come out and work. Here, host. What do you want to do now? Play the complete plot for me, especially the part about the school drama. Okay, host. Although she didn't know what the host wanted to do, she just did as she was told. After watching it, Tang Guo narrowed her eyes. The second female lead was originally snatched by Wen. I still remember that. The strange thing is that Liang Chao was also replaced by another second-tier male star. Show me the part of the hidden plot. What happened to Liang Chao? Okay, host. Watching the hidden plot was no pressure at all. Dead. Tang Guo looked at the plot. Liang Chao's death was very strange. It seemed that he had rushed into the road and was hit by a car. There were so many cars at that time that his body was almost crushed. It was somewhat unbelievable. She looked at the time and was stunned. Wasn't Liang Chao's death today at 3:30 p.m.? Dear host, there are many strange things in this world. The system thought to itself, that's good. The stranger it is, the better. A strange world won't collapse easily. Dial Liang Chao's number for me and monitor him at the same time. The system did as it was told. She was more and more satisfied with the current system. Hello. Liang Chao was puzzled. This was his private number and not many people knew it. He had never seen this number before, so he picked it up out of curiosity. Me. Liang Chao was stunned for a moment before he remembered the owner of the voice. Tang. Miss Tang. He couldn't believe that Tang Guo had taken the initiative to call him. There are some things that I would like to consult Mr. Liang about. Is it convenient for me to look for you? Liang Chao's heart skipped a beat. He wanted to refuse, as the other party's reputation was not good, but for some reason, he thought of that day and said, no problem. Vertex. Chapter 290. For some reason, he told Tang Guo the address. After hanging up the phone, he realized why he had agreed. Thus, Liang Chao became nervous in the house. He didn't realize that there was a shadow outside the window, trying to come in. Tang Guo put on a disguise and walked out of the apartment. She hurried to the street and was about to hail a car. Suddenly, a car stopped in front of her and the man inside poked his head out. Where are you going? The man was wearing a black casual outfit and looked gloomy. He had a pair of deep eyes and a head of messy hair that was much longer than the average person. He looked unruly. He was holding a cigarette between his fingers. When he saw Tang Guo, he instinctively put it out and threw it into the ashtray. To Liang Chao's house. Tang Guo didn't stand on ceremony and got into the back seat. Driver, please drive faster. I'm in a hurry. Liang Chao? The man narrowed his eyes. You're with Liang Chao? He didn't believe it. Tang Guo smiled faintly. Take a guess. Chao Nai's gloomy eyes were smiling. You're being naughty. He found Liang Chao's address and drove there as she wished. Suddenly, he felt a pair of hands around his neck. The woman's hands were soft and warm and he almost couldn't hold the steering wheel. He didn't even turn his head. Be good and let go. I'm driving. What if I don't let go? Tang Guo leaned over his neck and blew. If I mess around now, I guarantee that there will be a car accident here. You're so evil. I'll choose to die with you. Chao Nai, what do you think of the ending? The strange voice entered his ears, but it didn't make Chao Nai panic at all. He held the steering wheel firmly and said in a low voice, how are you going to mess around? That sentence seemed to be saying, mess around for me to see. Host, are you flirting with Chao Nai? I think Chao Nai likes you. I saw some of his records. Basically, all the women who know him have been scolded by him. Many of them cried because of his scolding. Host, do you think he's in love with you? He didn't doubt the host's charm. Tang Guo said, no, he doesn't love me. Hey, why? Humans are so complicated. If you don't love them, why do you indulge them so much? He's just looking at another person through me. Did he see what I've marked for him? Villain Xiao is not a soft-hearted person. He only treated me differently because I reminded him of someone very important to him. Usually, I would use a word to describe this kind of person. What? Despicable bastard. However, I do have some interest in him. I plan to flirt with him and take my revenge at the same time. This world only has 13 years. If I don't do something, it would be a waste of time. Is that so? Why was he still a little confused? Along the way, Tang Guo put her hand on Chao Nai's neck. Chao Nai could see her smiling face from the rearview mirror. Her face was still cold and she drove seriously. She drove more steadily than ordinary people. When they arrived at Liang Chao's apartment, before Tangwa let go of him, she whispered in his ear, "I couldn't tell that you were an experienced driver. This car is really stable. Driver, is there a fee?" Xiao Nai suddenly grabbed her wrist and turned around to pinch her chin, pulling her closer to him. "What do you want to do? Will you help me with whatever I want to do?" Tangwa asked back. Xiao Nai didn't think and answered, "Of course. I want to move back. Will you agree?" This time, Xiao Nai hesitated. "Are you trying to get back together or are you trying to develop your career after losing your love?" Peak. Chapter 291. Both, Tangwa said with a smile. Xiao Nai didn't hesitate and said, "Okay, come back." He didn't want her to leave. It was too dangerous outside. She could live freely under his wings. "Xiao Nai, do you like me?" Xiao Nai didn't answer. Tangwa continued, "Since you don't like me, why do you want me to ride on your coattails?" "Xiao Nai, I don't think you can. Xiao Nai, I'm so beautiful. You never had any thoughts about me in the years we were together. So it's because you can't." "Shut up. Xiao Nai, do you like me or not?" Xiao Nai pursed his lips. "No." "Hey, then why are you helping me?" "I don't need a reason." Tangwa didn't listen. She kissed Xiao Nai on the cheek when he wasn't paying attention. "Young man, you look at me strangely sometimes. It's like a child looking at his mother." Tangwa was a little surprised. "You want to be my son? Get out." Xiao Nai couldn't stand this woman who had changed so much. He got out of the car and pulled her out. Then he quickly got into the car and drove away. He saw the woman's smug look through the rearview mirror. His face darkened and he sped up. Liang Chao had been waiting nervously in the house. When he heard the knock on the door, he became even more nervous. He saw a strange woman through the peephole. "It's me." Hearing the familiar voice, he was surprised and quickly opened the door. "Are you Miss Tang?" "Yes." Xiao Nai recognized her at a glance. She thought there was something wrong with her mask. Seeing Liang Chao's surprised eyes, she thought there was nothing wrong. Xiao Nai, Xiao Nai. He should be a demon." Liang Chao hurriedly let her in. He didn't know what to do. Why did he agree? "Well, Miss Tang, what's the matter?" "I'm here to save you," Tangwa said seriously. "If I didn't come today, you would have died in the afternoon. You died quite miserably. Your body was crushed and your bones and flesh were broken into several pieces." Liang Chao wasn't a main character. He was just a cannon fodder whose name was revealed. His lifeline could be changed. Liang Chao's expression changed. He was a little angry. "Miss Tang, it's better if you don't make such a joke. Just wait and see." Hearing this familiar sentence, Liang Chao's mouth twitched. Because of this woman's Weibo post, "Just wait and see," there was an additional term on the internet. "You don't have to worry about me. I'll just sit here for a while." Liang Chao looked at Tangwa's unfamiliar face and asked hesitantly, "Is this makeup or a disguise?" "Disguise, mask." Liang Chao nodded. He had seen human skin masks before, but none of them were so realistic. She was a little curious about where Tangwa had gotten it. Liang Chao ordered takeout in the afternoon. Today was his rare break. He should have been playing games. But there was a woman in the house who said that he was going to die a horrible death today. He didn't dare to do anything and just watched TV in the living room. At 3:10 in the afternoon, Tangwa stood up. She took out a handful of yellow talismans from her delicate bag. When she covered the entire living room with talismans, Liang Chao was stunned. "Miss Tang." He didn't believe in Taoism or Buddhism. He was an atheist. He wanted to say something, but when he saw the look in Tangwa's eyes, he swallowed his words. Could it be that Tangwa, who looked normal on the surface, was actually suppressed and now she was going to explode? At this moment, Liang Chao received a phone call. "Why? I think Miss Tang is very good. Miss Tang, I'm going to look for Uncle. If you don't want to play the second female lead, I won't do it either." With that said, he rushed out. Tangwa grabbed his shoulder tightly and he couldn't move an inch. Peak. Chapter 292. Let go of me. Liang Chao glared at Tang Guo with bloodshot eyes as if he had lost his mind. He tried to push Tang Guo away. I'm going to seek justice for you. Woman, why are you stopping me? Host, this is a little scary. Fortunately, he went out because of Shi Tsong's call. Last time, it was probably because the second female lead was replaced. However, the second female lead was not her, but another actress with good acting skills. This time, with her around, she would not let Liang Chao die for no reason. However, she did not expect to take on a drama by accident and save Liang Chao's life. She could not control the life of the main storyline characters, but could she not save 2 more cannon fodder? I didn't expect the great host to take the initiative to do good. Tang Guo smiled. Tongzi, you're talking as if I've never done a good deed. My values are very upright. Whatever the great host says is right. I agree. The system laughed in its heart. The host had always been bothered by the fact that she could not control the length of her life. Now that she finally saw a cannon fodder that she liked, she would definitely help. Liang Chao was still glaring at Tang Guo angrily as if he was looking at an enemy. In reality, that was not what he was thinking. He felt that something was making him unable to control himself. There was a voice in his heart telling him to go out. As long as he opened the door and rushed out, he would be able to break everything. At this moment, Tang Guo withdrew her hand. Liang Chao felt as if he had been saved. He rushed to the door and grabbed the door handle, intending to open it. Ah! A sharp scream was heard. Liang Chao's body stiffened for a moment. His face turned pale and he broke out in a cold sweat. He was about to open the door, but his mind suddenly became clear. He had no intention of opening the door. Did he hear a scream just now? No, why did he rush out in such a hurry? Liang Chao felt that it was inconceivable that he had quarreled with Tang Guo just now. He quickly turned around to look at Tang Guo's reaction. Tang Guo was standing not far behind him. She had a faint smile on her face, which made his heart turn cold. No matter how stupid he was, he knew that something was wrong. What's going on? Liang Chaoyang opened the door and asked with a stutter. Previously, he had felt that the house was gloomy, as if it was shrouded by something. Now, he didn't feel that way. Do you still want to go out? Tang Guo smiled. I won't stop you this time. Liang Chao did not go out. Instead, he walked back and stared at Tang Guo. Miss Tang, was what you said just now true? Can you tell me why? This woman is so strange. His actions today were incomprehensible. However, he had a very special feeling just now. That feeling was that he had survived a life-and-death situation. Tang Guo didn't waste any time. She took out a talisman from her bag, poured some water on it, and stuck it on the girl's forehead. She then pointed to a corner of the room for him to see. Liang Chao looked at the corner of the living room and immediately took 2 steps back in fright. It was a woman covered in blood. When she saw him looking at her, she gave him a ferocious and resentful look. She. Liang Chao stuttered. He tore off the talisman and couldn't see it anymore. He stuck it on and saw the woman again. His face was completely red. She's a ghost. Tang Guo nodded and said, yes, a female ghost. She seems to hate me, but I don't know her. I, Liang Chao, have never bullied girls. The peak. You're tuning in to the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.